right, so we'll get this meeting, call this meeting to order. 6:12 PM, June 9, 2026. I am, I'll do a roll call. District 1, Vice Chair Jeffrey Lee.
Present.
District 2, I'm sorry, Dr. Valmet.
Present.
District 3, Ms. Diane Easter.
Present.
District 4, myself, Chair Felicia Harrell. Carol, why am I saying my own name? District 5, Mrs. Jasmine Willingham. She's not present. Tax Commissioners appointees, Nicholas Craig, Mr. Nicholas Craig,
Present.
Mr. Lee Kelly,
Present.
and our Clerk of Superior Court selected alternate member, Dr. Eric Hyde is currently not here. So moving on to item B, the approval of board meeting minutes from 5/12/2026. Making a motion on the floor.
Motion to approve the minutes.
All in favor? It's unanimous. Moving on, item C, public comments. There are none. Board member comments. Are there any? No, okay. General updates by our ethics administrator.
Hi, good evening, board. I just have one quick update for you. So we will be participating in the Hot Summer Fest at Echo Park on July 2nd. That's their 4th of July celebration. There's going to be like food trucks, water games, blow up, bouncing the houses, all sorts of stuff. So our setup starts at 3 PM. So if anybody would like to come and help me set up, I'd appreciate it. Just let me know ahead of time. That way I know who's I can count on to be there. And those are all my updates. Does anybody have any questions?
3 PM to what time?
I just know the setup is 3 PM. I think it is to 6 PM.
6 PM. And what exactly is this event? What does it entail?
It's the Hot Summer Fest. So she said it's their 4th of July celebration.
Okay.
So they'll have food trucks, bouncy houses, just a bunch of different activities for families to do while they're there.
Fireworks?
Yes.
Yeah, so you'll be there longer than that. Okay.
Do you know if there's gonna be a cost?
I'm sorry.
Is there gonna be a cost to get in?
No, I think it's free.
Okay.
As far as I think like the food trucks, of course, that's on your own, but as far as getting in, I think it's free.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item F, general updates by the ethics officer. Yes, officer.
Good afternoon, board. One moment so I can ensure that I have some sharing capabilities. As it relates to our general updates for our training, we are continuing with our new employee orientation training. Thus far, since our last meeting, 69 new employees have been trained. A lot of the employees have been for Parks and Rec, quite an influx for the Aquatic Center, as everyone knows, that's about to open. They've also had an influx with camp counselors and things of that nature. So we've had 69 new employees that have come aboard. In addition to that, I have the number that we were waiting on for elections. We had 220 that obtained their training through the elections department. That is still ongoing. It will probably ramp back up. It's kind of slowed down now because we're out of the primaries, but it will ramp back up probably closer to the November time. As it relates to ongoing training, I have a meeting with the interim director on June 25th. So we can discuss what that looks like going forward, in particular, as it relates to the bigger departments where they have like shift changes and things of that nature under the code, although the employees will not be subject to the jurisdiction of the board, they are still required to be trained. So I scheduled a meeting with the interim director so we can discuss the logistics of what that would look like. Any questions about training?
I have one, and you may have answered this. I do apologize. Are you receiving a list of new employees and employees to train from some office?
Yes.
Okay,
So the like elections, I get a list of all the employees that attended and took the training. Yes, I received it.
so no, I mean, do you get a list and then you schedule training? or do you just?
It depends on the department. So bigger departments, remember, they do the virtual trainings.
Mhm.
So I know that they've been trained through the acknowledgement that they sign. Other trainings, yes, I do get a list. And I usually get on a quarterly basis from Ms. Callie with the county.
Perfect.
I have one question. Is there onboarding, I should say, checklist for the new employees?
HR keeps one. Now, I do not believe our training is on their checklist. That's something I have coordinated with HR over the years just to ensure that the board is doing proper trainings, but they have their own onboarding. Any other questions in regards to training? I also wanted to update the board that I attended the DeKalb County Ethics Forum. All of the Henry County Board was invited, so I wanted to make sure we had a representative there. It was a really, really good forum. They had the CEO of DeKalb County, I think that's equivalent to our county manager, who was a panelist, and they had a senator that was a panelist as well. And it came out to be very, very well. So I was there to help represent the board.
What were some topics discussed that was, you think, of relevance that we could learn from here in our board?
One of the things that the senator discussed is the maintaining that transparency portion. That particular senator, and I cannot remember her name, she did not rerun for her seat. She indicated that she wanted to just kind of step back for a while, but something that she talked about is people paying to play and how she's really big on ethics and I'm saying she, but they talked about, it was an open discussion. So the thing kind of was like grandma's table where they had both the senator and the CEO talk openly about their thoughts on ethics. And one of her thoughts was making sure that people know what's going on throughout the county, DeKalb County, of course, and making sure people are not getting caught up in meeting with, let's say, and this is just a pure example, a big company, just to kind of meet with them and snoozing and what they would call having undue influence. So that's some of the things that she talked about. Some of the things that the CEO talked about was working together. And I thought that was really important too, because you gotta work together. I think Ms. Murphy, who is their ethics officer, she had sent out a ethics blast and it had some examples in there, and the CEO said she got in and she immediately called general counsel like, what is this? So just working together to make sure that their ethics officer or their ethics office and the county is on the same page for the benefit of the employees.
Thank you. I will say this, kudos to DeKalb County for inviting us out each year. We're grateful. And we're grateful for that, the conversing that we have, the learning and the growth that we have based on our interactions and understanding of how they do what they do in DeKalb County, and some of the things and ways in which we do things here in Henry County and how to bet those best practices, not just now, but in past years as well. So we're grateful for that relationship and that opportunity to each year go and learn from what they're doing and the ways in which they're successful.
The next update that I have is in regards to the new legislation. If the board recalls, the last time we met, the next day, I believe it was, if the bill was not signed, then it would have been law by operation of law. It was signed on May 12th, 2026, and it's a legal effect on July 1st, 2026. So we've been planning, and I know the board has been moving according to what we knew was coming. It is law, and it will be in effect as far as July 1st, which takes me to my next slide of the case status. We have talked about what to do with the cases. As the board knows, we no longer have jurisdiction to hear any cases involving employees. Now, I've had some of the complainants wonder or ask me, what does this have to do with my case? Since it was already pending, can it not go forward? Those are good, valid questions. And I've explained to them legally, it cannot. Law is it goes forward, it's not retroactive. And as soon as the bill was signed into law saying that the board no longer have jurisdiction over employees, that means the board cannot have hearings over employees. And although we may have had a preliminary hearing, we cannot move forward with a final hearing. Therefore, no decision can be made. So I made sure I explained that to the complainant, and I also made sure that I gave them some options of what they can do if they still feel the need to move forward if options were available, because every case doesn't have options available.
And question, with each case, even though, those cases that are involving employee versus employee, has HR been informed and the interim county manager of these cases? Have they?
No, the HR has not been informed of the pending cases we have right now.
So what about the new ones, the new complaints? Are these new? Yes, they've been informed.
To the interim county manager, the current HR director,
Okay,
and one had to go to internal affairs.
perfect. Thank you.
With the current case status, these are the ones that I recommend to be dismissed by operation of law. That will be 2025 EB 15, 2026 EB 2, 2026 EB 3, and 2026 EB 4. Just so the board will know, 2025 EB 5, the respondent is the DOT or director. 2026 EB 2, 3, and 4, the respondents work with Henry County Sheriff Office. So because they are all employees, I am recommending that they be dismissed by operation of law. We do still have one case that is pending. It is on hold for formal investigation. That is 2025 EB 17. Just to update the board, on May 28th, we did get notified by the complainant. There has been a request for an immediate investigation regarding that case. That request was sent out to the US DOJ, GBI, the Inspector General, as well as the Georgia Bar. The complainant specifically asked for a full and independent investigation into those matters. They wanted a review of related expenditures of taxpayer funds, a review of any potential ethics violations, misuse of office, misuse of county resources, interference with public proceedings, or violations of county policy or state law, a determination regarding whether county officials acted outside the scope of their authority, and then public transparency regarding the findings of any investigation that has been conducted. So although they have initiated a request through different entities, that does not affect the current case status stage. Any questions about any of the cases?
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
As it relates to dismissal, those cases we can't move forward with. I understand the law was signed and it was, the bill was signed into law, changing the way that we practice here as the Board of Ethics, but it doesn't start till July 1st. So can we dismiss these cases prior to July 1st?
You can dismiss them because the law can't be changed. It can't be repealed. There's no options for the law outside of what is already coming. Now, even though it's not effective until that time, the board still can't move forward even if the board wanted to, because jurisdiction was stripped when it became law. Now, if the board wants to continue it for, let's say, the next one, then that's an option as well.
So in other words, item, sorry to borrow.
And just so the chair, just so you'll know, even if, let's say, the board decided to, if the board decided to try to move forward, it would be reversible. But if the board decided to wait, it's hard. You can wait and there's no issue if you want to wait after the effective date.
That was my question.
Yeah, there's no issue.
It was really the wait, not the move forward.
Yeah.
We don't have resources to move forward, even if we wanted to in that short period of time. That being said, my question also in Senate Bill 359, page 22, where it says section 3, all laws and parts of laws in conflict with this act are repealed. Is that the reason we have that we can dismiss today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to be sure before we do. Okay. Is there any discussion from the board on dismissing the listed cases?
Yes, I have one.
Yes, sir.
What happens to the file in the case itself?
The physical file in our office.
It will just be closed.
No, it goes to HR. Well, you've shared it with HR. And what they do with it moving forward is their discretion.
In our office, we maintain the file. Our office file will be closed.
Okay.
It will be, the matter will be closed for the dismissal. We can forward copies to HR and the county manager. What they do with it at that point is on them.
Right. It would be different if they were asking for advisory opinions. They're not. They're asking for investigations, which we can't do. So board, would you like to dismiss today or would you like to further discuss and place on the agenda for next month's meeting?
Yeah, I think that if SB 59 is the precedent by which we dismiss, I think you wait to the effective date.
So is it the board's opinion that we will stay the dismissal process for?
Just one clarification.
Yes, sir.
There's two things you mentioned. You said that it takes effect on 1 July, but you also said that it was effective upon signature.
Then I misspoke. It's not effective until July 1st.
Okay.
It's signed into law, but it's not effective. Certain laws have effective dates within the law itself. Ours do not. So those that don't have an effective date within the law itself actually becomes effective July 1st.
Okay, that's the only thing I need to clarify. Thank you.
So we're staying items G, H, I, and J until our July meeting.
Like a motion.
I don't think we need to. If we were dismissing them, do we need a motion to stay?
Yes, ma'am.
The decision on them,
Yes, ma'am.
to remove them from the agenda?
And I just need you to tell me if you were voting for G, H, I, and J all together to stay them all, or if you want to vote.
So let me rephrase it. I'm not voting, I wouldn't request a motion to stay. I would really want the board to consider just removing these items from today's agenda and rescheduling them for next month discussion. So in other words, we're not making a decision. To stay is a decision. So I would rather remove the items from today's agenda. If I can get a motion from someone to remove
Make
the
a
items.
motion to remove G, H, I, and J from today's.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
It would be a motion to amend.
To amend today's agenda to remove these items.
I'd make a motion to amend today's agenda to remove items G, H, I, and J.
Wait a second.
I second.
All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, so at this moment, can I get someone to bring us into executive session?
Make the motion to go into executive session.
All in agreement? All right. Oh, wait a second, we missed, so, hey. All right. I get a motion for,
So move. Motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
all in favor? Moving on to the last, or one of the last items, item L, board discussion of budget.
Evening, board. So I made a packet for each of you, so we can use time. So July first will be the new budget year for fiscal year 27. And right now, we only have personnel budget, which is $264,002. We do not have an operating budget at this time. Finance Director Joy Robinson, I sent her an email to find out what our budget is gonna be, just because Chair was asking for different things. So she responded back that as of right now, we only have personnel related costs and no operating budget. So right now, our operating budget is 0. And I did prepare, the chair wanted me to just prepare a packet for, since the board was enacted. So we started in fiscal year 23. We kind of, take a look at the budget. It was, we started out with $50,000 that year, because they weren't sure what our operating cost was going to be, what our needs were going to be that year. So they just put 50,000 in professional contracted services. We didn't have anything in any other of the operating accounts except for personnel. So that year, we were. So for fiscal year 23, our operating budget was $50,000. Our personnel budget was $150,000. So for the total for fiscal year 23 budget was $200,000. The actual spent for fiscal year 23 was $288,409.91. So we were negative that year by $88,409.91. So the next fiscal year was fiscal.
Question for you.
Yes.
Just so that we can understand the difference in the personnel budget,
Yes.
that is not accounting for a full year of both individuals working, staff members working, or was one hired and then the later hired at a different date meeting?
It was,
That's for the full year.
yes.
Okay.
So for fiscal year 24, again, it was, the accounts changed just a little bit. Again, in professional contracted services, we had 50,000. In technical contracted services, we had 15,683. We did not have any budget in professional medical, and we were actually at the end of the year for negative 165 in that account. That's the one where we do background checks on new board members and or potential board members. In rentals, we have 12,000. That covers our printer, copier, general communications, just for the office. That's an account that's always going to be the same. It's always been 12,000, because they always make sure that the contract is always about the same. So that's an account we really don't mess with.
And when you say they, who is that?
The financing firm.
For this year.
So in communications for FY 24, we had 5,000, and that's for our work cell phones, our Wi-Fi devices, for myself and the ethics officer. We didn't have anything postage. Dues and fees, it was $2,000. That's for our membership fees for the SCCE, which is the Society of Corporate Compliance and Ethics. That's paid yearly. Then in education and training, it's $10,000. That's for training for myself and the ethics officer yearly. In general supplies, we had 10,000 that year, and that's just general supplies for the office. We didn't have anything for fiscal year 24 for food. And then the regular employees, all of that was regular salaries of 970. We were negative in that account at the end of the year, by 11,168. Insurance, the same thing, we were negative in that account, but these are anything that has to do with regular employees and the salaries, those are accounts that I don't have access to. I can't change anything in there. That's something that the finance department, they handle all those. That's just money that's there. I can see it, but we don't touch it. So for fiscal year 24, our operating budget for that year was $104,683. Our personnel budget for fiscal year 24 was $216,541. Our total budget for FY 24 was $321,224. Our actual spent for FY 24 was $340,998. So we, at the end of the year, we were negative $19,774. For fiscal year 25, we started off with $49,450 in professional contracted services. We were negative in that account at the end of the year. Technical contracted services, that covers our case management system, our website maintenance, our NAVEX online training system. That was $15,683 in that account. We were negative in that account as well in FY 25. Professional medical, we didn't have a budget in that account that year. Rentals, it's the 12,000, same thing, it's for the top year. Communication that year, we had 1,000 in that account. We had $50 in postage, and the postage is obviously just for us to mail out notices whenever we have case hearing coming up. In dues and fees, we had 2,000 in FY 25. Education and training was 10,000. General supply was 10,000 for FY 25. And we had food that year for FY 25, we had $500. We were negative 188.78 in that account at the end of the year. So our operating budget for FY 25 was $104,683. Our personnel budget for fiscal year 25 was $242,188. So our total fiscal year 25 budget was $346,871. Our actual budget spent for FY 25 was $363,953.05. So we were negative at the end of the year by $17,082.05. For fiscal year 26, which is our current budget at the moment, we started off with professional contracted services with the $47,950. We were negative at the end of this year by $6,253.42 in that account. For technical contracted services, we had $15,683. For professional medical, we had $1,500 in that account. For rentals, we have $12,000 for fiscal year 26. For communications, for FY 26, we have $5,000. For postage, we have $50. For dues and fees, we had $2,000. Education and training, $10,000. General supply, $10,000. Food, we have $500. And then again, the regular, just everything that for employee salaries, was $184,181. Insurance was $17,576. That account was negative at the end of the year by $11,472.71. Social Security was $11,420. Medicare was $2,671. Retirement contribution was $31,311. Workers' comp was $1,492. So for FY 26 operating budget was $104,683. So it's $104,683. I apologize. The personnel budget for fiscal year 26 was $264,002. Our total budget for FY 26 was $368,685. Our actual budget spent for FY 26 was $386,411.13. So we are negative for FY 26 by $17,726.13. So for fiscal year 27, our professional contracted services budget was $0. Our technical contracted services budget is $0. Our professional medical budget is $0. Our rental budget is $0. Our communication budget for FY 27 is $0. Our postage budget is $0. Our dues and fees for FY 27 is $0. Our education and training for fiscal year 27 is $0. Our general supplies budget is $0. Our food for FY 27 is $0. So for FY 27, our operating budget for FY 27 is $0.00. Our personnel budget for fiscal year 27 is $264,002. So our total fiscal year budget for 27 is $264,002. So we will be negative at the end of the year by $122,409.13. And that's just based off of our actual budget spent for fiscal year 26. So as of right now, we have no operating budget for the Board of Health. The only thing the county is covering is our personnel budget. And that comes, it comes with a problem because if you go to the last page of your packet, we do have contract accounts that are coming due. So Navix Global is our first one. That's our online ethics training for departments with over 200 employees. So that's fire, public safety, elections, and Parks and Rec. That renewal date is July 9th of 2026. And that cost is $14,299.19 per year. That contract does not end until July 9th of 2027. So that contract will be in default since we have no budget to pay it. The next contract would be Tyler Technologies. That's our case management system to maintain all case information filed in our office to comply with Article 4 of Chapter 18 of Title 50 of the OCGA. That renewal date is January 1st of 2027. That contract is for 3 years. So it's $12,500 per year. So the total is $37,500. And that will also come in default by January 1st, 2027, because we have no money to pay it. Grubman Warner Berry Law Firm, that is the general legal counsel to the board, to the board members. That renewal date is July 1st of 2026. That is $30,000 per year. So that will lapse for the board. Apex Insurance Agency, that is the insurance coverage for the board members to cover any civil litigation matters that might arise from the duties as board members. That is to renew August 1st of 2026. That cost is $2,949 per year. So that will lapse as well on August 1st. GoDaddy, that's our host for our ethics website that maintains updated board of ethics information for the public. It's how people can file ethics complaints, open records requests, and contact us filing via the website. That contract is renewing August 12th of 2026, and that cost is $2,212.64 per year. So the total yearly cost for all of these contract accounts is $59,960.83. And these will all lapse because we have no operating budget. So as of right now, the only budget that we will get on July 1 is going to be for the personnel cost. And that's the $664,002.
Before we get into questions from the board, I have a question, then I'm gonna make a statement and, the copier. I understand that contract is also renewable, and I think it was, when does it come, do you know when? I know it was recently signed, maybe end of last year. I do know the finance department reached out and was entering into this agreement.
Yes.
On our behalf.
The copier rentals, the county is the one that does the copier rental.
Mhm.
So I'm just there to receive the copier, make sure, we send them, they're up because they charge us per color copies or, black and white copies. So every month I get an email that says, I need the count. So I send them that. But as far as the contract goes, that's all the county. So they handle all of that. I don't know when that is gonna review. That I don't know.
And if they're paying it when it becomes, I think they just went under contract with the new copier contract,
So then
end of last year.
that one was lapsed.
As far as making copies for trainings, events, you're being charged for those copies. What
So-
department is being charged for this?
I think there's up to a certain amount of copies that are included in the contracts. Anything after that, they charge, I think it's like 10 cents or something per copy.
Okay.
I'm not 100% positive about that because I don't deal with that contract.
Okay. As it relates to the Board of Ethics budget, obviously, we are under the control of, or mandated by Senate Bill previously 22, and now this new bill, Senate Bill 359. Just for record, the Board of Commissioners shall provide adequate office and meeting space and pay all administrative costs consistent with county policies and procedures, including those specifically stipulated in this section pertaining to operation of the Board of Ethics. Now, this particular section also talks about the hiring of our ethics officer and our ethics administrator. Per Senate Bill 359, we are mandated to hold two full-time staff employees, one of which is the ethics administrator, the other is the ethics officer. Ethics officer, the new appointment will come from a judge. That being said, it still comes from this budget based on the salaries and compensation for all that encompasses the salaries for our staff members. It will take the full $200,000 that the Senate Bill 359 give us. So in every year, Senate Bill 359 or Senate Bill 22 gave the operating budget of $200,000 for the Board of Ethics. Anything above had to be approved by the Board of Commissioners. So every year, the Board of Commissioners has increased because the Board of Ethics has never operated under, let me go back before, let me correct myself, because I don't want to misstate. No, the Board of Ethics has never operated for just 200,000, even since its inception. So it was always understood, even though the bill was not updated, to include at least 300 grand to compensate for those items that are necessary to run this Board of Ethics. Now, as it relates to staff, the Board of Commissioners has agreed to pay that additional 64 grand above the 200,000 to account for the staff that is mandated by this particular bill. And as it relates to those services needed to run this department, there are some services that are necessary and mandated by law for open records and for us to keep records. I will open the floor for questions, comments, conversations, and I will save mine for last, if that's okay. Yes, Dr. Valle.
Just have a couple questions.
Yes.
How much was requested for the FY 27 budget by the board?
Do not recall exactly we requested for that FY 27, but it is probably along the same lines. I think it was 350.
When it came to, let me see if I can locate it. When it came to the operating budget for the board, we did ask for raises for staff, but we understood based on that first presentation, there were not going to be any personnel increases this year. So we certainly understand that, given the needs of the board. But let me see if I can find an answer for you. I may have it somewhere. But we'll see if we can get that answer for you for the operations that was requested. I will say there was an increase in the request for the operating budget due to our need for more licensing to accommodate the increase in employees for the county. We were short on licensing, so we couldn't cover each employee, including the seasonal employees for the county. And I think we asked for additional funds for an attorney because we had litigation or something that could have amounted to litigation that was outside of the purview of our general counsel. So we had to pay for additional counsel to handle that issue. And we had asked for an increase to account for that need this year as well. So I do know those two increases were added. Let me see if I-
Additional 1,500, so it's a total of 300,000 for the 527 budget. We submitted that.
300.
The number doesn't work.
324,183. That was just for our operating accounts. So
Okay.
including
The personnel.
personnel, we requested a total to altogether for FY 27, we requested $439,500.
Okay. Next
And
question.
that included increases for personnel, which we know we weren't gonna get. So once you make that subtraction, and then you add the additional cost for the litigating attorney, and then the additional cost for a system upgrade to account for the employee.
Okay. When was the board notified for the now of the budget, FY 27? But
So I reached out on June 2nd to the director of finance, which is Ms. Bermuda Campbell. And Ms. Rachel Mack, which is the county attorney, and Marcus Adam, which is our budget analyst for our department. So I reached out to them just because, like I said, me and Kara were trying to prepare for this meeting about the budget. And so I just wanted to get clarification to see if we were going to get the same amount in every operating account we have in the past years. So her response to that, Victoria Robinson, the finance director, she responded simply with, at this time, your budget only includes the personnel related costs, no operations. So, and that's when they had sent the budget for the personnel, and that is all that we're getting.
okay. And when was the budget, FY 27 budget approved?
When was it approved? I think they approved that at as far as I know, it was approved, because I emailed them just a second. It was approved at the May 28th meeting, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think it was the 26th. I think it was approved on 26th, and we received an email from Bernita Campbell on May 27th.
Okay. And these accounts that are going to lapse, have we notified the county formally that?
No, not yet. We do have a meeting set up, the interim county manager. Because I responded back to her, to Ms. Joy Robinson's email saying that we were not getting an operating budget. And I just simply asked, can you explain why we have no operating budget and who made that decision? I'll need to notify my board on Tuesday's meeting because they're going to have questions. I did not receive a response. So the next response I got was from interim county manager, Kevin Johnson, stating that we were told that now we have to contact the county manager's office about our budget. So everything that we submitted for FY 27 budget requests is null and void apparently. So interim county manager did reach out and said that he would like to sit down and discuss our budget needs. So we do have a meeting with him Thursday at 4 p.m.
Okay, so are we saying that we're revisiting the budget, the ethics budget for FY 27?
Guessing that's what we're gonna sit down and talk about, is discussing our budget needs. So I would assume that we're just gonna simply show them everything that we requested in January with all the budget when it was time to submit your budget request.
I haven't,
So let me jump in a little bit. So our meeting with the interim county manager, being that we have operating expenses and contracts that are coming due, we're just trying to figure out where the money's gonna come from or if the county is gonna go into default. And we do have to notify those vendors to know that the county is refusing to pay those accounts. Now, that being said, our hope is that we can, so myself and administrator, understanding that the budget now is $0 for our operating budget, we went through with the largest Sharpie we can to strike as much as we possibly can. And our hope is to appeal to Board of Commissioners as well as the interim county manager with these new changes with this budget and stripping it down to the absolute bare minimum just to stay alive and to not be in default is what our goal is in that meeting. So we will lose a lot of things, but our hope is to maintain the integrity of what this board is mandated to do in Senate Bill 359, as far as maintaining those records and files and things of that nature that are important, as well as hopefully the legal coverages and fees. If not, then we'll talk about that on another day. But the additional items that we do need to maintain is the website. Because that is up for renewal in August, and that if we lose that website, we lose quite a bit of information.
the final question, for me. Who's the administrator for the contracts for the Board of Ethics?
So as of right now, so when we first were enacted back in 2023, all our contracts were signed by the chair at that time, which was in St. Quilla Henderson. So at one point, we did meet with the county manager, the previous county manager, Ms. Matthews, and we discussed the Tyler Technologies, which is the case management system. So all the courts in the county use that same system. And we were told that she was going to review the contract to see about us being able to get on the same contract with the rest of the counties. That meeting was back in September of 2025. We never heard back from the county manager at that point. So we don't know at that point, but all of these accounts are basically controlled or signed by our chair. But so our office is essentially the one that controls the contracts. But if we have no FY 27 budget, they're all gonna lapse and we can't pay them.
So if I may jump in, as it relates to some contracts, so I became chair of this board in August 26. The previous two chairs were in control of certain negotiations and contracts that were signed. At one point in time, we've had a couple of meetings with the previous county manager about just certain items that we have contracted services for and how we could fold those items into the county so that we could save money. Because that's the whole point. We just got to say, it's still the government, we still want to save money. And one of those services was IT. We had a whole IT staff and we were paying quite a bit of funds, which is why county agreed to allow us to use IT in-house. So anytime that we want to use these other departments and services, we have to get the county's permission for those services. IT, she granted us permission for that. As it relates to our GoDaddy account, we had a GoDaddy account separate. But when we talked to the previous county manager about that, she wanted us to fold it into, because the county has a GoDaddy account. They wanted us to fold it into it, but at the time it wasn't expiring. And so what we were asked by, I think it was a communications director, or someone whatever department manages and maintains the domains, or we were asked to then purchase additional domain names so that we could cover ourselves through, cyber wise, for security purposes. And so we have communicated and had conversations about also in one of our last meetings with the county manager, we brought a contract that was going up for renewal because we have been asked to have the county oversee and review any contracts that we sign. And so when I became the chair, I wanted to be as transparent and work hopefully as much as we possibly can with the county, as much as they would allow us to. Now, everything we asked for, we do not get, but we were trying to strip away anything that we were paying for that was provided as a county service for free, or that wouldn't cost us. And so we've tried in all ways possible. And that GoDaddy domain, that is one of the items we will talk to the interim county manager about now coming a part of their account, because that was a previous conversation started with the previous county manager. So when it comes to our Tyler system, our storage system for our case management, that's a system that has been independent and separate from the county just for integrity purposes. But that account isn't up for renewal until the end of this year, 1st of January, 2027. So we do have some time with the Tyler management. As it relates to NAVEX, the system that we use to train the county employees, my first suggestion was to get rid of it. If it isn't something that we can afford, and I hate the inconvenience for county employees, because that NAVEX system really was helpful for the police department, the fire department, and now the sheriff's department and the tax commissioners and commissioners. So that NAVEX system allowed those employees with those different work schedules and shift work schedules to have access to training without having to come in on their days off. And so, but now that we don't have the funds for NAVEX, that hands down would be the first thing I would strip. The problem with that is I can't strip it. As your chair, I can't. That's a 3-year contract that we're on its 3rd year. So I didn't put that contract in place. However, we have to honor the payment of that contract. And we're in that 3rd year, and that 3rd payment is now coming due this July.
One final question. I guess I said that before, but this is final. So the Senate Bill 22 has lapsed. The new Senate bill outlines that the county must fund the ethics board. Would that not be a violation of the new Senate bill as far as funding?
I think that's a question. So here's what we come to. This is a crossroad that we come to. As a board, there are legal questions that are in the crossroads, that when we get to a crossroad with the county about a particular subject matter, we lean on general counsel for that advice, because I always wanted to be in line with the law. But we don't have our general counsel contract ends in July. And if we aren't afforded the opportunity, because we have no budget to pay our general counsel, then we're not afforded the opportunity for clarity of how to then apply this law. Because then we will be using our own interpretation sometimes, but to answer that question from a layman's perspective, if I'm looking at Senate Bill 359, it states that all administrative costs necessary for the operation of the ethics board should be paid for by the county based on the policies and procedures of the county. As it relates to, it also says that in Senate Bill 359, as well as Senate Bill 22, that we should be funded as priority. So priority over what? Priority over who? So are there some items when some departments have funds for training and they can send people out of state for training, we can't even afford counsel. We can't even afford insurance. We can't even afford the comms. We can't even afford our GoDaddy. So then we get into the interpretation of what is priority. Is it priority to send this department's personnel to training? Is it priority to fund our legal costs? That's where and why we need general counsel for those issues, so that then our attorney can sit with county attorney and interpret this law. Because the liaison of this law is the Board of Commissioners chair. That's a liaison for government and federal law as it relates to county. However, there's a county attorney that interprets this for them. And that county attorney generally we would want that county attorney in previous years, and they would have had conversations with our general counsel so that we can be explicit in following Senate Bill 359 or Senate Bill 22, because we always want to be in line with the bill itself.
I'm sorry, one more.
No, you're.
So which Senate bill was the budget covering?
Both. Senate Bill 22, Senate Bill 359, the budget is the same, 200 grand, 200 grand, fund with priority, fund with priority. Fund all administrative costs and provide hearing space and meeting space, provide hearing space, meeting space, fund all administrative costs. And then those additional things, when it comes to advice as it relates to investigations, we could lean on the solicitor or general solicitor. If there's a conflict, we can then hire outside attorneys. We don't have the budget to do it, any of it.
So in essence, the budget for FY 27 crosses Senate bills and is in violation of both Senate bills.
It is indeed, this operation budget is indeed in violation of Senate Bill 222 as well as Senate Bill 359. Yes, it is. However, there is a comma per policies and procedures. We get into the policies and procedures, then we get into the legal ease of it all. And that we're at a conundrum because we need an attorney that the county won't give us money to pay for to sort out this matter. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I guess my question is, you have a meeting on Thursday.
Yes, ma'am.
So the county hasn't actually denied it yet because you haven't had your meeting. They just gave you the operating, I get, and my assumption would be they're going to discuss the rest of it with you when you come to that meeting.
That's what our hope and prayer is.
Okay.
And trust me, there is a lot of hope and there is a lot of prayer. What we had asked for before, because we wanted clarity, and that's what I said. I was like, let's not make any assumptions about what this is. Because we didn't get an operating budget. I don't think the county attorney has an operating budget. However, they're funded out of the general fund. So I said, okay, perhaps they want to do an invoice by invoice to cut the fat in this county. And so now we're on an invoice by invoice approval by the Board of Commissioners, which is A-okay with me. I'm a queen at cutting some fat. I can cut out a lot of money from a lot of budgets. However, when the question was posed to the budget department, we are not funded, we don't have an operational budget. Okay. Are we then funded by an invoice by invoice opportunity from the general budget? And the answer to that was no, to speak to management. So we're now going to management.
Okay. So we'll know more the next meeting
Yes,
or after your meeting. Okay.
yes, you should know something hopefully by the end of this week.
Okay.
Any additional questions? I see confusion.
No, just currently with the approved budget by the county, the only thing that's in there is the 264 and the $2 for the board.
It's personnel costs.
And that is something we have we have to hire staff and they have to be full-time. I can't make them contract. So that's of course, that's the immediate thought is, okay, let's figure out how to then reorganize our staff. Like, how do we figure this thing out so that we can stay in the confines of that 200 grand? We have to have full-time employees. And when you're hiring an administrator to do the work that she does, and you're hiring an officer, that officer has to have 5 years of legal experience. That officer has to be in good standings with the state bar. And when you start giving those kind of credentials, you start giving a bigger check.
Can I ask just a basic question?
Yes, sir.
For function for July 1st, July 14th meeting tonight, are there any costs associated with our just basic meeting here? Are we paying the county anything?
No.
Minus copy paper, ink, whatever we use for that? Just a basic function.
Yeah, and that's why I said, we can get back to the drawing board. Before there were computers, there were pencil and paper. Yes, we still have to scan and store files and make them available for the public. And those files that we've scanned and put in what they call a computerized system still falls under Article 419, Title 50. where those computerized copies still have to be made available if upon request. And we have 3 days to get that. If we lose access to that system, we have our files, but there are certain things that were made available on that website that may not exist in a file. But we'll do what we got to do. You know, we'll just, as much as we can do with as little as we have, we could carry out the bare minimum functions. A hearing officer, this board decided to use a hearing officer to maintain an unbiased process in our hearings. It is not a decision. Some boards, county boards, don't use a hearing officer. This board, you know, decided to use a hearing officer so that it at no point seems that the Board of Ethics is being biased. But that's a discretion of the board. And so we don't have to purchase, pay for the hearing officer for our hearings. When it comes to as far as the files that are needed to be printed for our hearings and evidence is just gonna have to be presented for free on those monitors in those free rooms. When it comes to protection, we're gonna lean on that 911 as much as we possibly can. When it comes to the cameras that should be outside of our building, that is outside of every Henry County building that's operating and for the public. We do not have those cameras. The buildings around us have those cameras. We do not have the money to pay for those cameras. We have asked, our previous chair had asked if we could put a ring system in there ourselves for our protection. The answer is no. And so I say, follow the law of Georgia, whatever that means for you personally. Any additional costs, we're just gonna have to do line by line, scenario by scenario, how we can perform the acts of this bill without the funds. Yeah,
Hopefully that'll change on Thursday.
I hope
Do you
so.
have
I hope so.
discussion with management? I could see them giving just preliminarily giving the employees, because take the frustration away from the employees. We got your salary. Now we're gonna discuss your budget with the chair. I could see that.
I think part of the issue is it just it doesn't just fall on the Board of Commissioners. To be fair, the issue is legislation. And the issue is the way the bill was written, understanding that since its inception, this board has never operated with 200 grand. So the idea that it could then go backwards in time with the cost of everything increasing and then operate for 200 grand was a fallacy of someone's imagination, or just maybe it wasn't. But what it was never going to be is the basis of how this board could run. If this board was never running on just 200 grand, this board will never run on just 200 grand. Yes, sir.
Is the 200 grand the maximum or the minimum?
The 200 grand was the mandated amount must be given, and anything above that is the discretion of the commissioners. But if in fact we run into an issue where there's a case pending and there is some concerns, then we had hoped that the bill itself would amend itself, or the bill would be amended to account for what they know previously existed in all the other budgets years prior. Yeah. Are there any additional questions? Ooh, I have a headache. All right. As it relates to the budget, have we exhausted this conversation?
Yeah,
Have questions?
I'll wait.
No, you're more than welcome.
No, I'll wait. Maybe my question will be answered. And further discussion.
Do we need further discussion? I mean, this is your floor.
No, I'm good.
I don't think there are any other items on the agenda except for the
Sorry, Laura.
announcement.
Can I say one thing about
Yes,
the
ma'am.
budget?
Yes, ma'am.
So it may get covered in your meeting, but one of the things that I wanted to discuss with our interim county manager is if NABITS goes away, there were specific things the county had concerns about in regards to training. One of those things were our seasonal workers for recreation. It's very hard to train them in person. Parks and Rec explicitly stated it's almost impossible because of the turnover between winter camps and things of that nature. And they asked for some type of flexibility when it came to an online training system. And that was one of the reasons that NABITS was considered in addition to the board. So the ethics officer is not only required to train
every employee of the county, but also every board member of every board of the county. There are 17 different boards in the county. And so in addition to having to train people that are fluent in different departments, all of those board members, like the development board, the water authority, the library board, the airport authority board, we have 17 different boards throughout this whole county. There are lay people, a lot of them just volunteering their time, which is why this board voted for them to be virtually trained. So that's one of the things I will discuss with the interim county manager at the time in regards to training specifically, because that requirement did not go away in Senate Bill 359. But there's just certain sets of people that is very difficult to train in person.
Okay, I'll ask my question now. Have the board considered or prepared a bare minimum budget? And what amount, well, right now we're at that amount, but what would break the board?
Yes, we've discussed and we're going to discuss it further. Gabriella may have that information ready available.
So the bare minimum budget, not including persons, this would be an operating budget. The bare minimum would be the 104,683.
Okay, so that would be the operating budget. Bare.
I'm getting. Like I feel like there's a wiggle room in that number.
That's including keeping NAVEX, keeping the general counsel for the board, keeping our case management system, keeping the insurance for the board, keeping our website. That would literally be the bare minimum. The only thing, I think we could probably do $10,000 less if we took out like all the annual training for myself and the ethics officer. We just wouldn't get training yearly. I mean, we could do $10,000 less.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I think NAVIS also can be greatly reduced because if you all remember, we do NAVIS by licensing. And so some of those departments that were privy to some training, they'll just have to come in. Gloria and I, or excuse me, Gabriella and I in the past have trained the police department. Now that is very hard because they have the rotating shifts, but we've done it. Now, employees may not be happy because night shift will have to come to day training and things of that nature, but we can slim a lot of that, the licensing with those departments.
Right now, I think we have 1,700 licenses.
We do.
Yeah, so we could reduce that, but I think the problem with that is the number for the Parks and Rec, the number for the elections department. They do, both those departments have part-time people and seasonal people. It's hard to gauge how many people they're gonna have. But we could cut the licensing.
So this would be my question, because for me, my first suggestion would be to no training for 2027 for the employees, 26, 27, no training. They'll just, figure it out. I would want to get rid of NAVEX completely. The reason I can't get rid of NAVEX is because it's a 3-year contract and we're in year 3. So I don't even have the authority to get rid of it because it's already a contract that was signed by the previous chair. But if I could, I would get rid of NAVEX altogether. It would be a huge inconvenience to employees of this county, but it would be a huge savings for us. Now, what I would weigh NAVEX, even if you were to strip it down, I would weigh the cost on if they are seasonal employees and part-time employees, elections and things of that nature. Are they being paid to train? And if the module is 4 hours, or if the module is 3 hours or 2 hours, how many hours are these employees being paid? Are they salaried or are they being paid by the hour? And once they are paid by the hour for that small number of employees to take this training, would it behoove us to just pay for the NAVEX system if the cost is the same and train a whole slew of more employees? That would be my question. Are we paying them overtime to take this training? Are we paying them hourly to come in to take this training? And by the time you multiply those employees by the amount it costs us to have them come in and train, could we have done that and actually trained more employees with this NAVEX system and been more cost effective just from a cost savings approach for the county as a whole? And we would actually save money in other departments too, if they're paying these individuals to come in and train. That would be my question.
Okay, so
The way the one versus.
I understand what you're saying, but at what point, or let me not say it that way, are they matrix for governing what we do as far as training according to Senate Bill 359? I guess not.
Senate Bill 359 says that the elected officials, and correct me if I'm wrong, on the elected officials, but it does say all employees must be, well, it doesn't say must. All employees will be trained by the ethics officer. Now, how do you interpret that law? That's what lawyers are paid for, so they can give us that interpretation. Is it mandated? Does she have to keep a catalog of who has and who hasn't trained and when is their training? And if they fall short and miss that date, what are the repercussions of that? Or does she offer it and then employees at their discretion say, I do or I don't? And I think that's going to be a part of her discussion, the ethics officer's discussion with the interim county manager on what his approach is and how she should approach that aspect of training.
Is it all will or all shall?
Educating and training all county officials and employees, but it says that ethics officer shall.
Shall,
Correct.
shall, not will.
But to Chair's point, it says that the ethics officer shall, there's interpretation of that. Is it shall offer or shall, if the board offers the training, it is up to the county on whether or not they accept it. So that's the conversation to be had.
Not my understanding. The mandate is 100% shall be trained.
That's the mandate. The access to employees has to be given to us.
I
So
understand that too.
that's where the conversation comes in.
Okay.
We had the ability to send out a link and they could be trained. We don't have, if NAVEX goes away or if they default, because technically it won't go away, it's in this last year, they can default. If they go into default with NAVEX, then we may not have that system. And then shall, meaning I have to have access to, meaning do I get to email, send out a blast to all employees in the county? Do I have to send it to the department heads and they send out a blast and they say we're scheduling for this day for these employees in these departments? That's something that the interim county manager and the ethics officer will have to sit down and decide the approach on how she shall train all county employees. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Comments, discussion, questions? Dr. Valme,
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Craig,
Good, thank you.
Mr. Lee,
Good.
Vice Chair,
Good.
Ethics Office Administrator,
No comment.
IT. Good. All right, so we're gonna move on to item M, our next meeting date and location. Administrator, you want to tell us what that is and we're gonna be here. So
We will be here until the end of the year.
okay, so July 14th, at 6 p.m., we will be here at Mount Carmel, Park. And on that note, we come to the fun part. Yes, Dr. Valve.
Oh, I'm good.
Can I get a motion on the floor? Adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.